Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle one of the most common challenges for any cat owner, grooming. But we're not just talking about cleaning up fur balls. We're going to transform this whole thing from a dreaded chore into a really powerful way to bond with your cat. Okay, let's just be real for a second. Is basically everything you own coated in a fine layer of cat fur? You put on a nice black shirt and whoop, suddenly it's a fashion statement. You vacuum, you sweep, but that little cloud of fur, it just seems to be a permanent part of the furniture, right? It's the mark of a true cat lover, but it doesn't have to be quite so overwhelming. And then there's this part of it. The second you pull out the brush, does your sweet, purring little friend suddenly turn into a tiny, fluffy ninja, biting the bristles, making a run for it, or just giving you that look of total betrayal? Yeah, the struggle is definitely real. Well, if you're sitting there nodding along to all of this, I want you to know you're so not alone. This is, hands down, one of the biggest frustrations out there. But here's the good news. There is a simple, straightforward way to a less furry home and a much happier cat. And we're going to break it all down right now. First things first, we gotta reframe what grooming even is. It's not just about managing all that shedding. Think of it as a health checkup, It prevents hairballs, lets you check their skin, and honestly, it's a huge way to build on your bond with them through that gentle routine care. Okay, so where do we begin? With the right tools. Seriously, having the proper toolkit is step number one to making grooming effective and, just as important, stress-free. For both of you. All right, let's meet your new best friend, the slicker brush. This is going to be your daily workhorse. Those fine little wires are just perfect for getting down into that dense undercoat and pulling out all the loose fur before it ends up on your couch. It's also amazing for gently working out any small tangles. Next up, the simple metal comb. And hey, don't underestimate this one. After you've done a pass with the slicker brush, the comb is fantastic for a final check. It'll find any little hidden knots you might have missed, especially in those tricky spots like behind their ears or under their legs. It's basically your quality control. And for those times of the year, the peak fur apocalypse, that's when you bring out the de-shedding tool. Now, this isn't an everyday thing, but during those heavy seasonal sheds, it is an absolute game changer. It's designed to safely pull out a ton of that loose undercoat fur without messing up their beautiful top coat. Okay, you've got the tools. But a great toolkit is only half the battle. How you brush is what separates a stressful fight from a calm, soothing session. Technique is absolutely everything. Let's walk through this because it's a super simple but really powerful 4-step process. First, don't just ambush your cat with a brush. Let them sniff it, check it out, see that it isn't some kind of monster. Second, and this is a big one, always brush with the fur, in the direction it naturally grows. Going against it is just uncomfortable for them. Third, keep it short and sweet, especially at the beginning. You're not aiming for a full-body groom on day one. Just a minute or two is perfect. And finally, the most important rule of all, reward, reward, reward. Always end on a high note with a yummy treat or a ton of praise to build that positive vibe.
Start under the chin, where most cats love attention. Brush with the direction of the fur using short, slow strokes. Keep your hand behind the brush for support and avoid the belly. It's usually too sensitive.
Now, your cat's needs aren't the same all year long, so your grooming routine shouldn't either. A truly great routine is one that can adapt, especially when the weather warms up and the shedding kicks into high gear. And this lays it out perfectly. Think of it like you have two modes. On the left, that's your daily care. That's just a quick, gentle once-over with the slicker brush. It's more about bonding and keeping things tidy. But on the right, that's shedding season mode. This is when you step it up. Maybe you're brushing every day, and you bring in that heavy-duty de-shedding tool once or twice a week to really get a handle on the volume. So after all of that, tools, techniques, seasons, what's the magic number? What does it all boil down to? Just 5 minutes. That's it. 5 consistent minutes a day is all it takes to dramatically cut down on shedding, prevent mats from forming, and honestly, just make your cat's coat so much healthier. So we've covered the tools and the technique, but now we have to talk about the secret ingredient, the atmosphere. To make this really work, you need to turn grooming from just something you do into a positive ritual. Because it really is all about the vibe. So how do you create that vibe? Well, first, pick your moment. Don't try to groom them when they've got the zoomies or the house is super chaotic. Wait until they're already calm, maybe even a little sleepy. Use a reward that they go absolutely crazy for. This is the time for the good stuff. And this is so important, learn to read their body language. If their tail starts twitching and whipping back and forth, that's your signal to stop before they get upset. Respecting that boundary builds so much trust. And, like we said before, always end with some love, praise, or playtime. And in the end, this is really what it's all about. You're not just fighting fur. You are actively making your cat healthier and happier. You're preventing painful mats, cutting down on hairballs, and you're deepening your connection through this simple act of care. The fact that your house and your clothes will be cleaner, hey, that's just a fantastic bonus. So the next time you pick up that brush, try to think of it less as a chore and more as a quiet conversation, a moment of connection. It's one of the most basic ways we show them our love and care. So the only real question left is, are you ready to begin?